Hello, Bakersfield fans, and welcome back to part 3 of our Zoom interview series as a part of our countdown to joining the Big West Conference on July 1st. Tonight, we're joined by 3 members of the CSUB baseball team, the 2015 team, in fact, which racked up a program best 37 wins, advanced the consolation bracket to win the WAC Tournament with back-to-back wins over Seattle University, and earned the conference's at-large bid to the NCAA Tournament and the UCLA Regional, where they captured the program's first win over an NCAA Tournament opponent in Ole Miss. We're joined today by the 2015 WAC Pitcher of the Year, Hayden Carter, 2015 First Team All-WAC selection and the MVP of that WAC tournament, David Metzger, and All-WAC infielder, Mylz Jones. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today.
No problem.
Thanks for having me.
You.
Before we get started with our look back on that season and the seasons that led up to it, let's just take a minute. Let's hear a little bit about what you guys are up to now. Hayden, we'll start with you. As mentioned, you were the pitcher of the year that season. You won 9 games, including the opener of the WAC Championship. You started the championship game that year, and you pitched a complete game in the team's win over Ole Miss in the NCAA Tournament. What have you been up to since that season? And how did your time at CSUB help you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so I'm still in baseball. I'm coaching. I'm now the pitching coach and I guess recruiting coordinator for Palomar Junior College. It's a JC down in San Marcos. It's about, I think, 4 hours south of Bakersfield. This upcoming year will be my 4th year with Palomar. And then I'm also the field manager for the Cocoa Jackrabbits. They're a summer collegiate team affiliated with the Northwoods League out in the Midwest and in northern part of the U.S. And then, yeah, that's basically all. I'm still in baseball. Get enough of it after I stop playing.
Great. Sounds good. Mylz, we'll move on to you. You were drafted at the end of that 2015 season by the Colorado Rockies. What's been your career path since then, and how did playing at CSUB help you transition to professional baseball?
So yeah, I'm still with the Rockies. It's been just about every year I went up a level. I repeated AA last year, so that was my 2nd year playing in Hartford. But being at Bakersfield prepared me probably the best that any university could, I think, especially under Kernan. As a lot of the players know, when you're playing under Kernan, you're pretty much playing under pressure throughout the whole fall. So going into pro ball, there's literally no pressure, at least from my standpoint, because like when you're playing in fall ball at CSUB, if your scrimmages aren't going right, you're going to run for like 30 to 45 minutes after a game. So going into pro ball, knowing after what I've been through, nothing's going to put any pressure on me after that. So I say coming from CSUB, pretty much learning how to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations pretty much has played a big role in my career this far.
I'm curious, as a New England native myself, and you coming from California, how have you enjoyed playing in Hartford? I'm sure early season, late season, sometimes the weather is not what you're used to.
Yeah, I hated playing in Hartford in April and early May. It was brutal. We've had a few games where it was like, I think it might have been under 30 degrees and it felt like 20. It was unbelievable. But come come June, it's really nice. June to pretty much the rest of the season, it's really nice. And then the stadiums, there's like 3 years older, so it's pretty much brand new.
I heard that is a great stadium. 30 degrees, that's definitely not baseball weather.
Yeah, not at all.
David, you were the MVP of that tournament, as mentioned, during your sophomore season. And recently the conference honored you as the league leader in base hits during that decade, or this past decade. How did your time at CSUB help put you in a position where a couple years after that season you signed with the Yankees? And what has your experience been over the last couple years?
CSUB helped me a lot. You know, I didn't have a place to go after high school, or like my senior year of high school, and CSUB was the only school that, you know, kind of showed interest in me. And, you know, even though we didn't have the best facilities or nothing like that, that just groomed me to have mental toughness, because we didn't have a lot of things that other guys had. We had to hit in dirt and stuff like that. So, you know, and that helped because when you go to pro ball, you know, you got everything for you. And it's pretty much handed to you. You got nice facilities, you got good food, you got everything. So, but under the coaching, I had played under 3 coaches, and you know, Coach Beard and Kernan were my best coaches there. They helped me. Kernan gave me the mental toughness because of the pressure we had to go under, as Mylz was saying. And Beard brought in a couple old professional players who would help us learn what they learned when they were playing pro ball. So that helped out a lot because by the time I got to pro ball, you know, I had a little head. I was ahead of the other people, I should say.
What was that transition like for you, not being drafted, signing as a free agent? Do you notice any difference in that process, or you know what your matriculation into the organization was at that stage?
Yeah, it was hard because I thought I was going to be drafted because I had a good college career, and not being drafted, you know, it was tough on me. So, but I just kept working out after that because you never know, I guess, with the free agent signings. And then the Yankees called me, took me out there, worked me out, and signed me that day. So that was pretty cool. But it was nothing different after not getting drafted. Just other than that, I was pretty upset. But you know, I kept working and everything. And yeah, going there, I didn't know what to expect, like as a player with my role in the organization, because you know the Yankees have a lot of guys and everything, and I was a free agent signing. And professional baseball is a business, so I didn't really know what to expect and what my role was going to be. But you know, it turned out to be a utility player, and that was fine with me.
It's a great story. Congratulations on sticking with it and finding a way.
Thank you.
All right. We do have one more player joining us today from the 2015 CSU baseball team, Ryan Grotjohn. Ryan, you were also selected in the Major League Baseball draft, but not until 2017 when Arizona chose you in the 10th round. How has your career progressed since you left CSUB, and how did the school prepare you for professional baseball?
I mean, it's been a journey, that's for sure. Coach Beard was an awesome coach, and I know I speak for a lot of the other guys too, that he really helped us as a team and me as a player, and I'm sure David can attest to it as a player. But as far as pro ball, I mean, it's been a whirlwind. I bounced around a couple different levels, got a couple rings along the way, which is awesome. I started last season in high, went up to AA, and both our high and AA team won a championship. So I got 2 rings last year, which was pretty exciting. But it's been fun. I mean, it's been a journey. It's exhausting and tiring, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
That's great. Congratulations on last season. That's a pretty exciting year for sure.
Thank you.
We're up to speed on what all you guys have been up to since leaving CSUB. Let's dive right into your time on campus. You know, I think sometimes it's easy to forget that CSU Bakersfield only began its program in 2009. So even when you guys were making your run in 2015, the program was still in its early days. Hayden, you were the first of the 4 to commit to CSUB. You joined the program in 2012. What was your recruiting process like, and what attracted you to Bakersfield in a program, you know, that was so new relative to some of the others you probably could have attended?
The recruiting process was super late. I was set to go to Palomar Junior College, the school that I'm coaching at now, and I was enrolled in classes. It was 2 or 3 weeks before classes were supposed to start, and I remember I was at one of my buddy's house and we were playing FIFA, and my high school coach, Cal State Bakersfield is interested in you. And I was honestly first thought, I didn't know Cal State Bakersfield was a school. I didn't know they had a baseball program, and I didn't know they had a D1 program. So I was just, oh, cool. Like, yeah, let's do it. So I ended up talking to Coach Kernan over the phone. My dad and I drove up to meet with him, and that was before the stadium was even built. They used to roll in portable like chair seats, and they didn't even have those in, so it was just kind of like a gravel lot. And we talked. It was Coach Kernan, me and my dad, and then Robin. We stood on the berm on the first base side, and I actually, the day before my visit, I had wisdom teeth removed, and so I was on like a ton of painkillers, and I don't really remember too much of the visit. I just remember like it was super hot. We took a walk around campus. We met with Corey Costello for a little bit. Like ate lunch at Togo's. Is Togo's still a restaurant on campus still?
I heard they got panda now.
So I don't think so.
Big now.
But
But yeah, it was kind of, I honestly don't really remember too much about it. And then after the visit, for some reason, I still wanted to go to Palomar. But then like a week later, Coach Kernan on a visit gave me the schedule for the 2012 team. And we were in an independent team at the time, so we could just play whoever. And that schedule that year was low. We started the year against Kansas State. We went to like NC State, Washington, Nebraska, like a bunch of California power, like USC. And like these are all the schools that I wanted to go to growing up that just basically overlooked me. And so I was like, now is my chance to kind of prove them wrong and show them that they missed on me. And so that was one of the main deciding factors that drove me towards CSUB. And then literally the day before classes started at Palomar, I called Coach Kernan in a parking lot, Olive Garden, because I made a decision at an Olive Garden talking to my dad and my grandma. And then I called Coach Kernan. I was I want to come to CSUB, and he's like, all right, cool. And then 2 weeks later, we started school, and I was starting classes there. So kind of a crapshoot, to say the least. I mean, it all happened super quick, and it was very and yeah, I don't even think Coach Kernan saw me play. Like, he just went off a recommendation of my high school coach, and he was just like, yeah, let's do it. So kind of a weird process, to say the least.
It's a great story. That seems to be the norm. Things happen quickly, and they never seem to happen in a straight line. Mylz, you joined the team a year later as a recruit with some real potential. You were the freshman All-American selection that season. What attracted you to the program? Again, still a relatively new program, proving itself. But your freshman year, the team had a great season. You won 30 games, you won the regular season title. When you came to CSUB, did you expect that immediate success for the team and for yourself? And what was the process in you getting to CSUB?
So honestly, the same, like Hayden said, I didn't know CSUB was a university at the time. And when Hernan called me, I think I went out. He called me like when I was taking my SATs, trying to get my scores in. So right around that, and then I went out to a practice. And when we were driving up, I was like, I had no idea there was a school back here. But yeah, like Hayden said, I went in. There was no stadiums yet because I think they put those in my freshman year right before the season started. So I went to a practice. There weren't even the rollouts yet because they rolled the portables out right before the season started. So I went out, talked with Kernan in the dugout, was watching the practice and everything, and then I got a tour from J-Mo, Chuck, and Van Dam. And Brandon Van Dam's actually from the Antelope Valley. So knowing that there was someone from the AV up there already kind of helped persuade the decision a little bit, knowing that, hey, there'll be someone up here that I can at least relate to being from the Antelope Valley. Granted, he was a fifth-year senior when I was a freshman, so didn't talk much, but it was still good to know that somebody was up in Bakersfield from the AV. But yeah, after my tour, I wanted to sign right away. I wanted to get that out of the way going into my senior year, know that, hey, I know what school I'm going to. I don't have to stress during the season or worry about any of that stuff. And then I remember the day I went up to a game, they were playing Santa Cruz, and the other coach, I think, was it Maine? I think it was Coach Maine. He was there.
Coach Maine.
Yeah, Coach Maine. So I met him when I went to the game, and he was like, "Hey, come in the dugout." I was like, "Wait, what?" It was like the third inning, and I was wearing a bright pink shirt. He's like, "Come in the dugout." So I open the door, and everybody's up on the railing, and the whole team just stares at me, and I feel so out of place. But I talked to Coach Maine and Kernan for a little bit with it during that inning, and that was pretty much my process getting there. And then once I got there, my freshman year, a story I like to tell is my first impression was we had like a team meeting before the season starts, and I didn't know what the meeting was going to. I just literally thought it was going to be a meeting in the clubhouse. We talked for like an hour, introduce ourselves, and leave. It was like the exact opposite. Like I showed up wearing Jordans, thinking we were like just going to chill. And 15 minutes in, we're having pretty much a boot camp at the meeting for like an hour. And I'm just having a boot camp in Jordans. And I don't think I had like cargo shorts on. Like I wasn't prepared at all. And I remember because I rode my bike there. So I was riding my bike back home at like 11. I was like, I have my first day of class. And this was my first day here. And I was just thinking about how hard the fall was going to be. But expectation-wise going into the season, I had confidence going in, but I wasn't expecting to do as much as I did. But once you start playing and you realize you belong, you start building that confidence. So as season goes on, I'm like, hey, I do belong here. I'm able to compete at the highest level of college baseball, and the confidence just kept rolling throughout the whole season. And once you have confidence, like baseball, like everyone says, 90% mentality. So once you get that confidence rolling, there's nothing that can really stop you.
Absolutely. Thank you. David and Ryan, you were both in the 2014 season. So the program's still relatively new, but you were able to see the team have success in 2013. What was your process to get here? And after watching the 2013 season, were you convinced, you were coming to a program that had the talent to compete for WAC championships and NCAA trips? And David, we'll start with you.
The process wasn't too hard for me because it was the only school interested in me. So I was like, you know what, screw it. It's a Division I school. It's an hour 15 from home. And I went to high school with Mylz and Malik and played with Chance when I was younger. So, that was a no-brainer for me. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm going to go to Bakersfield. Even though when Mylz signed, I was like, Bakersfield? Like, in high school, you're like, Mylz is the GOAT. You're like, why are you going to Bakersfield? What's your But then after being there, I realized, like, that's a really good school and a really good program. So now I see why he chose that. And the success that they had, I think 2013, right?
Yep.
I went to a couple games and it was the opening season and they beat USC and Nebraska the first two games. So I mean, you got a small Division I beating teams like that, then that's all you really need, because it just shows that you don't have the biggest and strongest guys, but you have guys that are grinders, and that's pretty much why I went there too, because I'm a small guy, and so I fit in perfectly there.
Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, on point with Dave, what he said. I mean, there were a lot of grinders that went there. I had family in Bakersfield, and I was actually born in Bakersfield. My parents went to high school out there, so I knew about Bakersfield. And some of the people, like family friends that I knew from there, spoke real highly of Bakersfield and said they're an up-and-coming program and all this. So ultimately, it was a good decision for me. I had some family. I had family friends there. It was closer to home. And, I mean, it was just a great program coming up. So it was fun to be around, that's for sure.
So now you're all on campus in 2014. You're coming off a 37-win season and a WAC regular season title in 2013. I would imagine expectations heading into that 2014 season, Mylz, were pretty high. And did you feel like that season was in any way kind of an underperformance or a disappointment, from the standpoint of expectations?
Yeah, we all wanted to obviously do just as well as we did the year before, especially coming off the regular season. And then, honestly, the way the bracket was set up our freshman year in the WAC tournament, we all felt like we got screwed over because we were 2-0 or something, lost one game, we were done. So we all had that fire to want to go into the next season and prove everyone wrong that we decided or that we deserved to be in the tournament. But yeah, I mean, it didn't go as planned to start. Pretty much the whole year wasn't how we expected it to be, but we grew a lot as a collective group for the most part. The whole team came back to 2015. But yeah, I remember I think it was just about halfway through that 2014 year. We were struggling pretty bad, and we went up to Kansas State. And if you want to talk about pressure, that year we were doing a point system throughout the fall. And we go to Kansas State, and we've been struggling throughout the year. And Kernan goes, "Hey, we're going to do a point system this series." And it was only two games. And he says, "We're going to do a point system. If you're in the negative, you're not going to play it again." So we had 2 games to pretty much pull up and have a positive series. And there were guys who were only getting 2 at-bats. So they played every day. So I think I got close to 7 or something, 7 or 8 at-bats. We had players that weren't playing every day who only had 2 chances to be positive. And, I mean, everyone did it. So his theory worked. Like, we just had to want it bad enough. But, yeah, throughout the whole year, it didn't go as planned, but we learned a lot. And that point system Kansas State gave us the confidence going into that next season. And knowing that, hey, we literally just work hard and put our mind to it and just competed. It pretty much just came down to competing. And when we were able to do that our 2015 year as a collective group, it really took off for us.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that insight. Hayden, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the WAC tournament that season. Despite a tough regular season, with the success you had the year before, you still have gone into that tournament feeling pretty good about what you could accomplish in a short weekend. You did start with 2 wins, so you seem to be on that track. And then you lost 2 straight this season. But I want to talk to you about that last game. You pitched against Sacramento State in that elimination game. You threw a complete. You allowed just 3 runs, 6 hits. So you pitched very well. How would you describe the experience of pitching in an elimination game like that? And how do you feel afterwards, when the season ends despite such a strong performance?
I mean, leading up to it, just because all the games happened, like our first 2 games in 2 days, and then all of a sudden, like 2 days later, we're in an elimination game, and so I mean, it kind of goes a little quick. But I think leading into the game, I mean, I was fired up. I wanted to make sure that we could play another game. I think if we won that game, we needed to beat Utah Valley twice. I think that was the team that Sac State had to beat. But yeah, I mean, I was fired up. I was ready to go. I'd kind of done well going into the conference tournament, so I had more confidence leading into that game. And then as far as like after the performance, I think Coach Kernan had already announced his retirement, and so it was kind of a cool thing. Like after I finished the last inning and I walked off the field, like Coach Kernan gave me a hug, and he was like, "Oh, it's fitting that my last game coaching is a complete game." And I was like, "Oh, okay, like cool." And he was like, "Oh, well, next year is going to be your year," and that was kind of cool. And then as far as like, I mean, it sucks when you lose. I thought that, I mean, we had a really good team. That I thought. I mean, we had the infield year. I think was probably the best infield at, like, with Mylz at third, Oscar at short, Dave at first, and then Dave second. Before he got hurt was at first. Like, basically like Grotjohn and all those guys that were from that 2013 team. Like we had a good team, and so coming up short, like our pitching staff good with Aikenhead and Davis and Barragon. So like I thought we had a real chance of winning that if we just got in, won a couple games. So It sucked. I mean, a couple weeks later, I'm sure I had a positive outlook on the experience and on the game heading into the next year. But I mean, yeah, it was a good experience. It was kind of cool for Kernan's first retirement to kind of lead out on a complete game. You would have liked to have won that game and that tournament, obviously. But I mean, I guess good experience altogether.
You touched on Coach Kernan making the retire after that season. He did eventually reverse course when he looked at the roster you guys had coming back in 2015. I think the disappointment of 2014 and understanding what you guys were capable of accomplishing in 2015 probably played a major role in that decision. David, how would you describe the team's mindset after that 2014 season? And when do you turn the page and look ahead to reproving yourself for the season to come?
During the season, our mindset, I think we were all kind of scared because of all the stuff we went through for Kernan. And like Mylz was saying, that Kansas State series, I've never experienced anything like that. You got guys who you never see upset or mad, getting kind of like shaky in the dugout because they get one more at bat and they're at 0 points if they strike out or something. It's they're not playing again, as Kernan said. So, but it was a learning experience for all of us, and we were able to overcome that thing. I think everyone was positive, but after the season, I think it's because it's different. If you're going from going to school and playing baseball every day to only going to school, so you kind of feel like what's going on. It's a different scene. So, but you get used to that. So it's only like a couple weeks after the season that you get over it, because now you got summer coming and you got summer baseball. We're all going to different places and trying to do the best we can in summer baseball because there's pro scouts and stuff there. So it's not much after the season that people finally change their mindset about what happened in the tournament.
Ryan, Hayden touched on the depth of the infield in 2014, and you kind of played a little bit of a smaller role your freshman season at CSU. What were your thoughts looking ahead to the 2015 season, knowing now this is your opportunity to play every day and be a big part of things moving forward?
I was excited. I didn't know if I was going to get to play sophomore year. I kind of went into it like I got to prove myself. Freshman year was a big learning experience. I learned a lot from Oscar. I learned a lot from Mylz, Hayden, David, all those guys. So I came into the sophomore year season feeling pretty good, ready to go, trying to prove something. And I know it felt like that around the whole team. I think everyone on the team was like, okay, we have a good team. We're ready to prove something. And everyone kind of had a little chip on their shoulder, and it showed. So it was a real, I think everyone had a lot of confidence going in. I know myself personally. So it was good. It really was.
Hayden, would you agree with that? You were a senior now heading into the 2015 season. So what would you describe the mindset of the team as entering that year, and what were your goals and expectations, knowing now you're a real leader, not just in the rotation, but in the team as a whole, and this is your last chance?
Yeah, I think the team knew that this was going to be Kernan's last year. So I think the expectation and the goal was it's an NCAA tournament. I think that was the bottom line. That's what we wanted to do. I think the overall mindset was more business-like. Like we knew what needed to be done and what had to be honest, in like the 4 years I was there, that was probably the easiest fall, just because, like Mylz said, that his freshman year, my sophomore year, that was tough. And then the next year, my freshman and junior year, all the falls were tough. But the senior, my senior year in 2015, it was more player driven. Like we had a ton of older guys, sophomores, younger guys back. They were mature for their age and their grade level. So, I mean, we really did need to be coached. Like they just provided a structure and we kind of ran with it. We policed ourselves for the most part. We had a lot of vocal guys like Logan Trowbridge and Jordy Hine that took like all the stuff that needed to be taken care of. And then, I mean, myself, leadership standpoint, I don't really feel like I was much of a vocal leader. I tried to be more of a like lead by example type of guy, just because we had vocal guys, and I mean, you really don't need that many cooks in the kitchen from a leadership perspective. So, guys who we had in place were good enough to lead. I just led by example, and yeah, it was regional or bust, to be honest. That was the expectation to that fall, at least for me.
Mylz, you do enter this season with confidence, with high expectations. You start the year getting swept at home by Creighton. A week later, you lose to Arizona State. You fall to 3-6. Was there some concern over a slow start, or is that just baseball being baseball?
No, it's just baseball being baseball. I mean, it's a long season, so we didn't want to start off getting swept, especially at home against a team coming from Nebraska, where it's cold and they haven't been outdoors, and they come in Bakersfield and shut us down. I remember specifically, like we had like 10 strikeouts, maybe 2 or 3 games or something like that. But we weren't concerned over the first 2 series. I mean, yeah, it was tough, but we knew what the end goal was. We knew it was a long season, and like Hayden said, throughout the whole fall, my junior year, we pretty much had our expectations from ourselves. Like we knew where we needed to be. We had guys like he said, Jordy Hine, even Chance. Chance was very vocal. We knew what we needed to do to get ourselves in place to pretty much compete at the highest level as a team. So after the first slow start, we kind of collectively like regrouped as a team, but we knew what we needed to do and how to compete to pretty much get to where we ended up at the end of the year.
You lost to Arizona State that day. They were ranked 9th in the country. The next day, you beat Gonzaga to open the day, and then you do knock off Arizona State, a top 10 team, with a 3-run rally in the 9th. Ryan, you had an RBI single in that 9th inning. What do you remember about that game, that moment? That really served as a springboard for the team moving forward.
I mean, that was towards the beginning of the season, and I mean, everyone had super high expectations. I mean, we didn't know what we were going to get into yet, but I think going into that series and that weekend tournament, it really gave us a lot of confidence. I know I felt after that win, because then the next day we played Purdue and won in extras, I think it was, or in the 9th inning, and I think it really kind of showed that we're not going to quit. I think it showed we had a lot of fight in us. It really kind of banded us together and showed us, hey, we can beat these teams. You know, we have the ability to come out there and play and beat any team on any given day. And I think that led into the start of conference play when we played New Mexico State and so forth. And it just kind of gave us a lot of confidence and showed us that, you know, we can do this, you know.
After that win, sweeping that day against Gonzaga and Arizona State, you guys ended up winning 8 of 9. You closed out that season with 20 wins in your last 27. Hayden, what do you remember about that season when things were going good for you guys, and how did those streaks and extended success like that impact your confidence when you head into the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks about the WAC. Like you know that you have to win the conference tournament to make it to the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on that, but having the success that we had with winning most of the series, I think we only lost like 2 conference series that year. So, knowing that we did really well against these teams that we would have to beat in the conference tournament definitely gave us a lot of confidence going into the conference tournament. And as far as like what I remember, I mean, it was fun. It was just kind of on a roll. It was like we took one game at a time. to be honest, I don't really remember too much about like the actual winning streaks. I just remember it was like a 3-hour meeting that we had, I think, after we played Utah Valley, and we were like a couple games below 500, and basically we're just like, dude, we didn't grind for a couple of months just to not play well and be like a 5th place team in the WAC. We knew we were better than that, and I think, I mean, that after that meeting, I mean, that's big when we started playing well. But as far as like the winning streaks, I think we just kind of took one game at a time, and after each win, it just felt like a snowball effect. Like we beat Seattle 2 out of 3, we beat Sac State 2 out of 3, and then we beat all these other teams for the most part. And I think it just kind of built a ton of momentum heading into the conference tournament.
You get to the conference tournament, Hayden, you throw a complete game in game 1, an 11-1 win over North Dakota. David, you had a pair of RBIs that day. So you're off to a good start, but the next day, you do lose to a Seattle team that you had taken 2 or 3 from in the regular season. David, when you lose early in an elimination tournament like that, the road obviously gets much more difficult. You've got to play more games. What's the team mindset when you do lose that second game? You have to fight out of a loser's bracket at this point.
It's it sucks because you're like, dang, man, now we gotta play all these games in a row to try to get to the championship game, and then then you got to beat that team twice. But we were a strong team. Our mentality was real strong. Kernan helped us with that, and it really wasn't a crazy deal for us because we knew what we had to do. And that whole year, like Hayden said, we're all about business. I think that was the year we wore, suits to the airport and all that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So that year was all business. So we knew what we had to do. We knew, the things we had to take care of, and we were able to do that because of the strong mentality that we had.
The next day, you are coming from the bottom half of the bracket. You needed 2 wins to stay alive. You opened that day with a 4-0 win over Sacramento State. Another complete game from your starting pitcher, this time Stephen G. Mylz, can you talk about the pitching staff you had that season? You had 3 frontline starters with ERAs under 3. You tossed 15 complete games that season, which is just something you don't see much of anymore. How does having a staff like that can throw deep in games really kind of make things much easier when you are fighting from that bottom half of the bracket?
It gives the whole team a bunch of confidence. For us as pretty much the position players, we knew our staff was going to go 7+ innings a game. Especially that was my 3rd year, so I knew how Kernan liked to work. So I wasn't surprised when our guys were going CGs, but the best part of it is being on defense, especially when you have Hayden on the mound. I loved playing behind him because he, for the most part, he threw a lot of strikes. Kernan was big on the strike zone, but playing behind Hayden, G, and Barragon, I remember one game at home, Hayden was starting 11 short. And when you have a staff that's just pounding the zone and throwing strikes, it keeps your defense alert the whole game, and we're just ready for everything. And there's as a defender, you don't want your pitchers up there and walking guys being out of the zone because you just get lackadaisical every now and then. Next you make an error. So when you have a staff up there that's pounding the strike zone and working, and their tempo was unbelievable. I know it kept the other hitters uncomfortable. And with that tempo and then us being on defense ready for everything, it meshed perfectly for our play style. And then next thing you know, we're out of the inning in 5 minutes and we're hitting and we're back to putting pressure on their defense. So our staff was unbelievable that year. Like you said, our ERA was way below. We'll probably bet what a lot of people expect, but we knew we were going to get out of our guys. They outperformed all the people who didn't think we had the staff to get to where we got to.
Yeah, it was a really impressive for that staff. And that complete game win over Sacramento State, that gives you a rematch now against Seattle with the win to force a deciding game the next day. Ryan, you fell behind in this game again. a few times, battled back a couple times, and then Seattle takes a 2-run lead in the top of the ninth. You talked a little bit earlier about some of the come from behind wins, the extra inning wins you've had. How do those moments prepare you for this opportunity? And is there any doubt going through your team's mind that you're going to come back and tie this game and eventually win?
No. I didn't have any doubt. I don't think anyone on our team had any doubt. I don't even think the fans had doubt. We had so many times throughout that season where we came back from whether that's in the ninth, the sixth, the seventh, whatever it was. So we knew that we could do it. We played so many good teams that year and beat so many good teams and came back from different wins. It was just having the confidence and putting it into action. And fortunately we did. I think everyone was in the same boat. There's so many emotions going around, nervous and anxious. And I think I blacked out at one point. I don't even know. But it was an incredible time. I think we had so much confidence going into it. And I think those previous games helped us in those times. We were able to slow the game down and do what we could do.
David, what do you remember from that game? You had an RBI ground out in the ninth inning to get that rally going, and you did have a number of comebacks that season. Is the ability to come from behind something a team has to learn? Is it something a team can learn? Or does it just say a lot about the character you had in the clubhouse that season?
Yeah, I think it is something the team has to learn and can be learned. Me personally, I've never, going into Bakersfield, I never, been part of a team that has been able to come back like that, or even, had the confidence in myself to be like, all right, we're gonna come back right now. Because at the end of the day, there's two different things you can say when you're down. You can say, oh, we can do this, or we're gonna do it. And going to Bakersfield, I learned that mentality that we are going to get this done, or I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get this big hit. And the chances of that happening are way higher when you think like that versus thinking, passively like, we can do it. So, it's something that can be learned for sure. And, I think that mentality definitely helped me in my career.
Now, Mylz, you come back, you tie that game in the ninth, you win it in the 10th. You're headed back to the hotel knowing you've got a winner-take-all game the next day. Where are you guys at this point? Your confidence must be through the roof.
Yeah, honestly, I think as a team, we knew we were going to win the next day. Like, that was their only shot of making it, and they blew it. So for us, going into the hotel, we knew even if we came – I think we were behind to start the game, but we knew it didn't matter what was going to happen. We were going to find a way to win. We found a way to win that game down 2 in the ninth, and we went on a walk-off walk. I was going to lose the next day.
Hayden, did you know that night you were going to get the start in the championship game after pitching just 2 days earlier? And I want to go back to that game you threw in the 2014 season against Sacramento State in an elimination game. How does having that experience the year before help you heading into this start?
Yeah, I did know. Me and Coach Kernan talked about it the day before we played North Dakota. He said, "Hey, if you start this game, I'm gonna try to bring you back the Sunday against who we would play in the championship game." So yeah, I knew. And then as far as the previous year, I guess that kind of just calmed the nerves. I had pitched well against Seattle that year before when we played them at home, so that was more of a confidence builder compared to the previous year's conference tournament. And then as far as like expectations, as far as like pitch count and stuff like that, you don't. Under Coach Kernan, you don't have a pitch count, so you just go until he takes the ball from you. And that was like the one time in my career I was actually tired. Like, I was exhausted in that last game. I think it went like 5 or 6. I don't remember. I just remember that last like couple of pitches. I was just out there like, man, I am exhausted. I think Kernan that, so I think he was just like, yeah, just go as long as you want or as long as you can, and then just give us the best chance to win.
You ended up going 5 1/3 that day. That was your official.
Okay.
Seattle got you a little bit in the second. They scored 3. When you're in such an important game like that, what do you say to yourself to keep yourself in the game, keep your team in the game? You were able to kind of stop the bleeding, and you held them 2-3 runs over 5 1/3. Gave your team a chance to win that game.
Yeah, I mean, right away, not the happiest of thoughts, giving up a 3 spot in the second. Yeah, I mean, I was pissed right away, but I kind of like what Mylz said, and kind of all alluded to over the course of the season. We won so many games where we had to come back from pretty deficits. Like I think Ryan talked about the Purdue game where I don't remember how many runs were down, but I just remember we put on a huge comeback. So, but yeah, I think most of us, and myself included, my mind after on and getting in the dugout was, all right, just got to keep it at 3, give the club, and that was it. I thought I had confidence that we were going to be able to figure it out offensively, score some runs. And Kernan's things are, if you score 5, we'll be able to win. And I think we gave up 4 runs. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think if I kept it at 3, I knew that we'd have a chance to win.
You're right. You did give up 4 runs that day. You traded runs in the 7th, I believe. Now you're into the 8th inning. You're still trailing 4-1, Mylz. Team still confident at this point, or does doubt start to creep in?
No, we're still confident. I mean, obviously it sucks that we're running out of time to get the job done, but like Hayden said, like Kernan always preached, if our pitching staff keeps it under 5, you guys should be able to get a W. So we knew confidence-wise, especially coming off the game, that last game, we knew we were never, no matter what the score was.
Now you come to the plate in that 8th inning. The bases are loaded. What do you remember about that at-bat, who you were facing? What are your thoughts watching the plate? And then what's your reaction when you end up doubling to clear the bases, tie the score?
They made a to bring in, I don't remember, I think it was Dyers. I don't remember his name, but I know he had long hair and we faced him earlier in the year, and he liked to throw a lot of change-ups. And I'm on deck. I forget who was behind me. I was like, I'm just going to literally sit change-up because he's going to throw it that. He had a lot of success against us using it, and he threw it, and I was already ready for it, and I hit it down the line. And obviously, I didn't know what to do, how to react. I just knew the game was tied. And I was on second, and he was behind me. So at that point, our confidence was rolling in any base hit that David hit. Like if it was anywhere to left field, center, right, it didn't matter. I was going to score no matter what. But it gave us as a team, like we took all the momentum. It's like we punched them in the head and they had nothing left. And the best part was after our parents, they were singing out of like they were taking the trophy to their side of the dugout and everything. But just the initial feeling of the game being tied in the 8th inning.
Yep.
That's a feeling I haven't felt since that moment.
I think, David, it was you who was hitting behind Mylz. You were just behind Mylz. You came up that same inning, base hit of your own, scored Mylz from second. That's the game-winning run. What are your recollections of that moment? And what do you need to do to get yourself focused for an opportunity like that?
Honestly, I was like, oh, this game is over. Mylz did the hard part and tied the game up in one swing with 3 runs. And so now at this point, we're tied. So I'm like, okay, I get out. We still got a chance. I get a hit. We're going to win the game. So I really didn't have no pressure. So I was just like, all right, well, I'm going to go up there. I'm going to get a hit. And I think after that, they brought in a little submarine guy. So I'm like, this guy's not going to blow it by me. So I'm just going to let the ball get to me, and I'm just going to drive it to right center. And that's literally what I did. So that, that just goes with that mentality that you got to say what you're going to do. And my approach, my thought going up there is just like, man, we are about to win the WAC championship before I even got the hit. Because whether I after Mylz tied that game, whether I get the hit or whoever else, I just knew we were gonna win the game after that. And then I just blacked out after Mylz scored. I don't even remember like the end of the game, just celebrating.
That's great. That's great. Brian, the best part about winning championships, I think, is when you reflect back on all you've been through, put into every practice, every lifting session. After such a long season, what's that feeling to win the WAC championship and realize all the goals you've been working for?
Man, I felt so relieved. It was like all this stress and pressure that we put on ourselves going into the season and throughout the whole season. It was like finally, like it's here. Like I think we all felt so accomplished. It was a long and exhausting season. But there was no better feeling than finally saying that we won it all. We put so much into it, and we finally got some out of it. And I think going into regionals and everything, it just felt like, okay, this is when the fun begins now. Like let's show some. All that stress kind of went off and that pressure, and it was like I felt like it was just so much fun.
And as we talked about at the start, you were the first one to get to CSU, the program really just getting its footing. Now you're the WAC champion, heading to the NCAA tournament. How rewarding is that to see your career?
I think kind of a culmination of all 4 years, and honestly, it was kind of like what Ryan said. It was honestly a relief, just because we'd gotten close in 13. Gotten close in 14, and then like we were close to being out in 15, so it was more of a relief. And then it was cool just because for me personally, I'd played with a lot of guys that came before and part of the program in 09, so it was cool to kind of win it for them. It was also cool just like 4 years of hard work and grinding it out through the fall. It was all worth it. So yeah, it was awesome experience, and just to kind of echo what Ryan said, it was a relief. It was after we won, it was just like, all right, cool, like we did it. It's like no more doubt or stress or pressure, like he said.
Now, on top of the championship, obviously you guys earned that berth to the NCAA tournament. You stayed relatively local. You're heading down to UCLA to play, obviously one of the power teams in the region. You dropped that opening game, but you do get a win against Ole Miss 2-1. That's still the only Division I postseason win in school history. David, what do you remember about that game? What do you remember about that trip to the regionals? And what does it mean for you to have been a part of something like that?
It means a lot to me. Mylz, Malik, and I, we made it to our Southern Section championship in high school, and we weren't able to win. So then winning the WAC championship and then going on to a regional, that meant a lot, especially being the first team in history, baseball team in history to do that. That was pretty special. I don't remember a lot from that game because it was a low scoring game, other than Harder or Hayden throwing that gem, of course. But that experience was something special. It was just fun. We went in as little Bakersfield, playing all these big schools and being on television, and it was an experience I'll never forget.
You touched on it, Hayden. You did throw that game again. That what did it mean to you to pitch in that environment on that stage? And are you just running on fumes at this point now?
No, I was fine. I think Kernan gave me an extra day's rest. So I think I got like a week a day off. I think. So I was fine. Obviously you got the adrenaline of pitching at UCLA against a powerhouse team. I think Ole Miss went to the College World Series the year before that. So, yeah, I was fine from a physical standpoint. And then as far as like what I remember, Yeah, like David, I don't really remember too much of that day. It was kind of a couple weird things. Like I remember watching Ole Miss take VP, and it was just like these dudes were monsters. And you compared them, like their bench guys were like 6'6" and just like these big dudes. And like you look at our team, it's like, man, Ole Miss is about to rush these dudes, and like they were putting balls off the top of the batting cage at UCLA, and you're just like, oh man, this does not look good. So that was one thing I remember, and then obviously like Jordy's catch in center, robbing I think it would have gone out maybe. I just remember catch, and then like me and Joey Sanchez talked. It was like in the 9th inning, and he has this play. I think he might have dove for, but he threw it in the dirt, and then it's on TV where like I watch the throw, and then I like glare back at him, and I'm like, "Hey, get your throw up," which like as I'm sure telling a position player like how to hit or how to play defense, that's probably like the worst thing you can do as a pitcher, especially a PO. Like you have no right to tell a position player how to hit, how to play defense. So like in the moment I was telling him like, hey, don't be tentative. Like if you're going to make a mistake, make an aggressive mistake. Like Curran always tells us, but it came out, hey, get your throw up. And like Joey and I still talk about that. And it like, I feel bad about it because it came out really bad, but I mean, it was experience. I kind of blacked out the whole tournament. Winning that game against Ole Miss and getting that first win for CSUB. So definitely a rewarding experience. I think that was the last game I played as a baseball player. So I mean, good way to go out for sure.
Absolutely. Mylz, those were also your last games at CSUB. Did you know towards the end of that season that you were going to test the draft? And looking back now, how great was it to end your college career with a WAC championship and now on the regional stage?
Yeah, that was the best way to go out. Couldn't ask for a better way, especially if he turns last year. Like we mentioned, our goal was to get him to get CSUB to the regional. And we did that, and we were all like they kept saying, relief was gone, or relief was there, no more stress, and we just wanted to pretty much just put Bakersfield on the map. At that point, we knew we were playing national games on TV against these big schools. I think UCLA was ranked number 1 at the time when we played them, and then Ole Miss, obviously, I think they're obviously a powerhouse school too, but our goal then was, all right, let's go show these schools that CSUB that we're legit and put ourselves on the map. And we did that, especially when Hayden threw that lights out game. But yeah, and then after the season, or going into the season, I knew I had a shot at getting drafted. So it was fun. I mean, it's a great experience. Sometimes I put a lot more pressure on myself than I should have, because you're like, dang, I've been working my whole life to get the chance to play pro ball. Now I'm a junior, and that opportunity is here. And sometimes I had to check myself and just be like, hey, you need to relax, go out there, play. We're all out here for one goal, you know. And our teammate, like my teammates, Curran, and the whole coaching staff, we as a collective group, we knew what our main goal was. And it was like no better experience than go out there, win, get a ring, come back. The next year, after my first year of pro ball, I think we had the ring ceremony. So having the guys all back to get our rings and just talk about all the hard work we put in to get that championship.
Ryan, when you win a championship like that with your teammates, obviously you're always going to have a special bond with your college teammates at that point in your life. But when you win a championship, does it kind of give you guys a special connection, something you can carry forward, and something you'll never forget?
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget that moment. It's something that I cherish to this day. I have my rings, that ring set up in my room, and I look at it all the time. And every time I do, I think about these guys, and I think about all the hard work that we put in and what drove us to get there. I mean, we put blood, sweat, and tears on that field. So I always have love for these guys, and they'll always have a special place in my heart. So, yeah.
That was definitely apparent at this season's alumni weekend. A lot of you guys were able to come back this spring. David, I know you were there. How great is a weekend like that when you can get back together with teammates who you shared a championship with? And how much fun is it to reconnect and reminisce now that you guys are spread out all over the country pursuing your own careers?
That's real cool, man. That's something special. I always look forward to that because it's like when you go your separate ways after college, you guys don't always talk all the time or as often as you probably should. But then when everyone goes back into that dugout or gets around the field, it's like, you're back where you left off. Everyone's the same. Everyone talks to each other the same. There's no like bad blood between anyone because it's just a big brotherhood. And even with the guys that I've never met that I've been there that were there before me, we act like we know each other, and everyone's just so in the game together. And there's fun things going on in the dugout. But going there, we as professional players, we like to also help the guys that are there now to get to the next level, and we just tell them the things that we're learning now. They ask questions, we answer them so that they can be prepared for when their time comes.
Great. I know Alumni Weekend was a huge success. The current players loved it. They're off for the summer now. Obviously disappointed that the 2020 season, their final season in the WAC, was cut short, but looking forward to the first season for CSU baseball in the Big West Conference. Hopefully they can match your guys' success soon. We're out of time for today, but I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. Really appreciated taking this trip down memory lane with you guys, learning a lot about that season and the program that you guys have helped to build. Thank you so much again for joining us. Good luck with your baseball seasons. Hopefully they will be on the way soon.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.